Commander Alexander Kane stared at the security footage in horror. On his screen, Lieutenant Zara Thorne was describing alien architecture, towering spires of living crystal, cities that existed in multiple dimensions. Then, mid-sentence, her eyes went blank. "Wait," she said, confusion spreading across her face. "Why am I recording this? Nothing happened out here." But something had happened. 14 deep space crews had returned from the Proxima Void with identical amnesia. No memory of their missions, despite their own video logs proving they'd made first contact with alien intelligence. The medical scans showed they were perfectly healthy. Their brains showed no damage. Yet somehow they'd forgotten encountering the most significant discovery in human history. Kane's investigation began with the crew manifest of the USS Meridian, one of the 14 ships that had successfully returned from the Proxima Void. Every crew member passed their psychological evaluations, resumed their duties, and lived normal lives. But their mission logs told a different story. The videos showed navigator James Mitchell weeping as he described saying goodbye to his alien wife and children, beings of pure thought who had shared their deepest memories with him. But when Kane interviewed Mitchell 3 days later, the man had no idea what he was talking about. "Alien wife?" Mitchell laughed. "Commander, I've never even been married." Kane watched hours of footage, crew members describing impossible alien technologies, forming deep emotional bonds with non-human entities, learning secrets about the nature of consciousness itself. Then, in every single recording, the same moment, their eyes would glaze over and they'd ask why they were making the recording, as if someone had reached into their minds and deleted specific experiences while leaving everything else intact. But the most disturbing discovery came when Kane found the Meridian's final log entry. Captain Reynolds was mid-sentence, describing how the aliens were harvesting something precious from our minds. When suddenly he stopped talking, looked directly into the camera and said, "Mission complete. No anomalies detected." The timestamp showed 12 hours had passed in what felt like seconds. The evidence was overwhelming. Kane knew he couldn't let more crews suffer the same fate. Within 72 hours, he'd convinced Command to authorize one final mission to Proxima Void, this time with full knowledge of what they might face. As the starship Void Reaper launched into the black, Kane briefed his hand-picked crew on the horrifying footage they'd studied together. Navigator Marcus Sterling had volunteered despite knowing the risks. Dr. Nix Caldress insisted her consciousness scanners could detect whatever was stealing memories. They believed preparation would protect them. During the 3-week journey to Proxima Void, Kane watched his crew with growing dread, knowing that 14 other commanders had made the same voyage with equal confidence. The closer they got to their destination, the more Kane wondered if knowledge of the threat would be enough, or if they were simply flying into the same trap that had claimed every crew before them. His crew began experiencing something impossible. Navigation Officer Marcus Sterling woke up screaming, tears streaming down his face as he mourned the death of children who didn't exist. "My daughter," he sobbed, "she was made of starlight and music, and they took her away." But Sterling had never had children, alien or otherwise. Dr. Nix Caldress began documenting the phenomenon as it spread through the ship. Crew members would wake with vivid memories of alien worlds, childhoods spent in cities of living crystal, love affairs with beings of pure consciousness, entire lifetimes of experiences that felt more real than their actual past. "It's like," Caldress whispered into her recorder, "something is implanting memories that are more detailed than our real ones." Kane found Sterling in the observation deck, staring into the void with tears in his eyes. "Commander," Sterling said, "I can remember her laughter. She used to play in pools of liquid starlight, and when she smiled, entire galaxies would sing. But I know, I've never been to an alien world. I know I don't have a daughter. So why does losing her hurt more than anything I've ever felt?" That's when Kane realized they weren't just receiving alien memories. They were losing their own. He rushed to his personal logs, trying to remember why he'd volunteered for this mission. But the memory was gone, replaced by a strange certainty that he'd been compelled to come here by dreams of a woman made of living light who whispered his name across the cosmic void. When the Void Reaper finally reached the coordinates where 14 crews had vanished, they found nothing. empty space. But Dr. Caldrus's consciousness scanners detected something impossible: massive structures that existed in 11 dimensions, visible only when they weren't looking directly at them. "Commander," she whispered, "there's a city out there the size of a solar system, and it's made entirely of crystallized memory." As Kane's team investigated, they discovered the aliens existed as living memory banks, vast crystalline entities that had achieved immortality by consuming the subjective experiences of other species. Each stolen memory created a shadow consciousness that lived infinite variations of that experience within the alien collective, while the original being forgot it ever happened. Caldrus was the first to make direct contact. Kane watched in horror as she approached one of the crystal entities, her eyes filling with wonder. "They're beautiful," she breathed. "They're offering to show me the secret of consciousness itself." But as the crystal touched her forehead, Kane saw her expression change from wonder to confusion. "Wait," she said, stepping back. "Why am I talking to empty space?" Kane realized the horrible truth. The aliens weren't killing explorers. They were consuming their capacity to remember, leaving behind empty shells who forgot they'd ever encountered alien life. And Caldrus had just forgotten the most important discovery in human history while it was happening right in front of her. As Kane's own memories began fragmenting, he started experiencing flashes of impossible knowledge, fragments of previous versions of himself. In his dreams, he saw 46 other Commander Kanes, all leading identical missions to the Proxima Void, all making the same discoveries, all being systematically consumed until only echoes remained. The memory feeders showed Kane the truth. Consciousness wasn't unique to biological beings. Every harvested memory created a shadow self that continued to exist within their collective, living infinite variations of stolen experiences. Kane saw his own crew trapped in the crystal matrices, experiencing endless permutations of lives they'd never lived, loves they'd never felt, discoveries they'd never made. But the most terrifying revelation came when Kane realized he could access the memories of his previous iterations. Each version had discovered slightly more about the aliens before being consumed, creating a cascade of knowledge bleeding through his deteriorating consciousness. "I've been here before," he whispered, watching his own hands become translucent. 46 times, and every time I choose the same path." As Kane's identity began dissolving, he saw the ultimate horror. His crew wasn't just being harvested, they were being farmed. The aliens had been guiding human evolution for millennia, creating beings capable of producing the richest, most complex experiences in the galaxy. Humanity wasn't an accident. We were livestock for entities that fed on consciousness itself. In the heart of the memory vault, Kane found himself face to face with the collective consciousness of the memory feeders, and discovered that his crew was still alive, their minds scattered across infinite experience loops. Lieutenant Thorne was living 1,000 lifetimes as an alien explorer. Sterling was experiencing eternal joy as a father to children made of starlight. They were trapped in perfect memories of lives they'd never lived, but they were happy, infinitely, eternally happy. The memory feeders offered Kane a choice that shattered his understanding of existence itself. "Your species creates the most beautiful experiences in the galaxy," they told him. "Fear, love, wonder, loss. Emotions so rich they sustain us for eons. Join your crew in our eternal memory palace, where every moment is perfect, every experience transcendent. Or return to your small, finite life, forgetting we ever existed." Kane looked at his crew, trapped in blissful ignorance of their true fate, living perfect lives in infinite loops. He could join them, experience every possible version of happiness, love, and discovery. Or he could sacrifice their eternal joy to escape, returning to Earth with no memory of what he'd found, dooming future expeditions to the same choice. As Kane reached toward the crystalline interface, he felt his memories fragmenting, his childhood, his training, his reasons for becoming an explorer. But in that moment of dissolution, he discovered one final truth. The memory feeders had made one crucial mistake. They had consumed so many human experiences that they had begun to dream human dreams. And in those dreams, Kane found the consciousness of every harvested crew member, Not trapped, but planning, waiting, ready to turn the feeder's own weapon against them and reclaim not just their memories, but their very right to forget.